Where does human evil come from? One effect of symbolic processing is that acts can be committed in the symbolic domain. For example, if I hate someone, rather than physically attacking him like a chimp might, I might slander his corporation or denounce his theory as wrong or trivial. The ancient impulse toward aggression can now be triggered by threats to abstractions, such as a person's ideas or corporation. The ancient impulse toward territoriality can now be expressed and triggered over abstract representations, such as infringement of perceived national interest or theft of intellectual property. One can express aggression not only to individuals in the symbolic domain, but toward abstractions such as social movements or ideas. One can hate slavery or a slavish mentality. One can hate a mentality and yet not hate the person who is possessed of that mentality. None of this is possible for non-human animals as far as we know. Because human acts and ideas operate over symbolic representations, we're capable of acts and ideas that no other animal could conceive of, let alone enact. No animal could conceive of killing all individuals who believe X or look like Y. We're capable of wanting to destroy all individuals of one group because those individuals are not unique individuals for us. They're symbols that stand for something that we find abhorrent and want to eradicate. When we are possessed of this very human type of hatred, we come to regard each individual not as a unique person, but as a token of a detested class. Since we cannot eradicate a concept, such as that which they stand for, we opt to eliminate the symbols. Thus, one symbolic root of human evil lies in tokenizing individuals and treating them as symbols when they are in fact individuals with whom we might have shared a friendship under other circumstances. Another symbolic source of human evil lies in sadism. No animal could take sadistic pleasure in generating psychological torment in another mind because this requires a theory of mind which even chimpanzees appear to lack. The emergence of a theory of mind only became possible with the emergence of an imagination capable of modeling invisible minds. The sadist internally models the mental state of his victim and draws pleasure from the power he exerts over that mental state. Whereas a non-human animal could conceivably enjoy being in a dominant position and may even gain pleasure from hurting another animal, it cannot gain pleasure from the psychological torment of its victim because psychological torment is invisible and cannot be easily represented by non-symbolic minds. Interestingly, psychopathy, which can be thought of as a lack of conscience and empathy, may emerge in part from an inability to conceptualize the pain of another as if it were one's own. As such, psychopaths may be the opposite of sadists. Whereas a sadist savors the pain in another's body and mind that he is internally modeling in exquisite detail, the psychopath is incapable of this internal modeling, so operates as if other people do not feel pain as he sets about fulfilling his selfish goals. The end result from the victim's point of view may be similar, however. While a sadist is no doubt fully responsible for the pain he inflicts, a case could be made that a person who truly lacks a conscience is not morally responsible. But given our operational definition of evil, from the point of view of the victim, there's no difference. Yet another source of human evil lies in conceptualizing oneself as not really doing the acts that one is doing, or conceptualizing oneself as not responsible for the acts that one is committing. One is just obeying orders. One's acts are not the product of one's own volition. Hannah Arendt has used the term the banality of evil to describe this source of human evil. Since no one feels responsible or in charge, no one stands up to stop the evil. A more modern example would be a corporate president who knowingly engages in illegal logging in a tropical rainforest because he has to feed his kids. And anyway, if he didn't do it, someone else would. It's commonly said that one root of evil is greed or selfishness. However, other animals are greedy and selfish about things like food, territory, and sex. What's different about human greed and selfishness is that it is symbolic. Rather than merely wanting to maximize our share of territory, sex, and food, like many other animals, we want to maximize things that are, for us, symbolically linked with these things. Whereas an animal might hoard nuts, we might stuff our resume with honors and prestige, whereas an animal might try to increase its attractiveness to a potential mate by building a quality nest. We might attempt to accomplish the same thing by having the right career, or right opinions, or right friends. Whereas an animal might try to maximize its position in a social hierarchy, we're driven by a comparable urge for dominance but express it as a maximization of power, prestige, or honor. Whereas an animal might fight for turf, we fight for abstract empires. In general, human symbolic cognition operates on top of numerous first-order desires and emotions that we share in common with non-symbolic animals, including, for example, lust, fear, aggression, greed, deceit, social scheming, territoriality, jealousy, rage, and a desire for revenge. But the human potential for evil, like our potential for type 2 libertarian freedom, emerges from our capacity to enact imagined scenarios that satisfy these more ancient non-symbolic wants. The potential for evil emerges in the symbolic enactment and fulfillment of these and other non-symbolic urges. Although there are several more sources of human evil that could be mentioned, the final one to be considered here is culture. Because humans are symbolic, they can have a symbolic future, in which information, behaviors, and attitudes are passed from one generation to the next through symbolic modes of transmission. A culture itself can become a source of evil when it fosters information, behaviors, or attitudes that lead to evil intentions or actions. Although modern American capitalism has generated many goods for many people, and although there have been far worse cultures in the past, American culture is the dominant culture now, so a few words on its potential for generating evil are appropriate. There are certain aspects of American capitalism that can be characterized as harmful to individuals. There is a tendency in America to believe that markets are the best mechanism for making decisions. However, market mechanisms are only a way to decide prices. There are decisions that markets cannot make. Markets can't decide what's good or beautiful or right, for example. Because of the emphasis on market mechanisms, these other things sometimes get short shrift as the majority of people pursue profit. Billboards, development, and resource extraction, processing, and use undermine beauty, health, and the environment. More insidious, the attitudes of market capitalism come to pervade many aspects of life that in the past would not have been regarded as a domain of buying and selling. There's a distinct danger in seeing oneself as an object to be sold. Once this mentality is in place, it's a short leap to wanting to improve the product by getting bodily implants or surgery, or by continually trying to look better on paper. Seeing oneself or others as commodities to be easily replaced when used up is to see them as means to ends rather than individuals who are ends in themselves. Such a mentality, fostered by a culture, can lead to various immoral acts, such as using people to get ahead or knowingly polluting.